Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patten. It's a pleasure for you to welcome us today. And of course, the foliage season has started, and the apples are now ripening, and all the orchards are opened up. And hunting season, I found out, is starting this month. And of course, Patriots start tonight. So here we go with fall, and I love fall anyway. But with me today, I'm pleased to have Steve Marchand, who was an unsuccessful candidate last year for governor, but he's got his feet wet already for next year, and he started bright and early. You know how it is, the early bird catches the worm.
I hope.
Well, I hope so too, for your sake. After all, hey, but you have been kind of busy out there.
Yeah, we this morning we did a morning meet and greet, which most of them are at night, but it was our 90th of the year.
Jeez.
And we've been all over the state, and I've got a great team of 4 staffers, young staffers who've experienced, New Hampshire. You can be young and have a lot of experience in politics because of what we do all the time here. And so I got a great team, and we've been all over, and we're going to keep doing it. And it's been working. A lot of folks that are supporters early, they're helping organize their own events in their towns.
Yeah.
And we'll keep going. We're going to keep working.
Going to be in my parade this fall.
Give me the info. Yeah.
November 18th is the 66th annual Concord Christmas Parade up here on the Heights. It goes right by past the church here, and it's my 46th year as chairman. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good. It's really,
And then the day after Thanksgiving, in tradition in Concord, we have the annual Christmas tree lighting, and I'm in charge of that one, and that's my 45th year down there with that. But we didn't have a ceremony like we do now. Back when I first started, this is the 31st celebration one, but the 45th of my year doing it down there.
Has it been in the same location for exact same location for that 31 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, because that's where the big tree is in front of the State House,
Yeah.
and the nativity scene's right there. And we've added over the years, if the donations come in, we have horse-drawn wagon rides, we have pony rides, we have a petting zoo. We have music by Brian Waldron and his band. And then this year I'm going to add a magic show, because I had somebody say, hey Dick, we had a magic show here in Dunbarton. The guy was really good, so I've contacted him, and he's going to do a half-hour show at a reduced rate. Santa Claus will arrive by Concord Fire Department at 5 o'clock. Then at 6 o'clock, 5:59, we count down to the time to light the tree, because we also have a tree in Eagle Square that is dedicated to the veterans or to the armed forces who can't come home for Christmas. So we have that. Now this is all through the Grange. The Grange sponsors or organizes both events, the parade and this down there. But we have to rely on donations, and we've had some that backed out the last couple of years that hurt. We had the vandals last year who took 600 bulbs off the tree and lined them up to the State House steps and smashed every one of them, and cut the wires and ruined the harness so it plugs in the top and bottom. The tree lit, but as it got Christmas Eve, it was lit. Christmas Day to off New Year's, it would light. Couldn't figure out why. And come find out, when they took the tree down on January 3rd, they found everything had been cut, and then snip, 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 snip all through the tree. So I've got to pay probably $1,500 for new lights, new harness, So that's why I'm fundraising for that, and my major fund supporter backed. Well, I hope he hasn't backed out. He gave me a partial payment, but somebody on his board thought that maybe they should reevaluate the donation, and it really upset me wicked. So I'm waiting for a phone call, and he hasn't called today. He told me to come down today or call before I went to hopefully pick up the other part of the check, but nothing yet. So tomorrow I'll be down there first thing, I guess. But anyway, so you're welcome to come down and get involved in that. In the past, we did charge presidential candidates to come in, if they came in, some money because of all their hoorahs. But one candidate came in, but they stuck us for $250. We never got collected. So that was Bernie Sanders' campaign. And I reminded them of it. I sent notices. Never got a check back. So anyway, but this one up here, the parade starts at 9:30, and then down at the State House on the tree lighting, it starts at 3:30 with all the activities. So there you go.
There you go.
You got kids?
I do.
Well, so you can bring into the tree lake and go on the wagon rides, pony rides, or whatever.
The pony rides. My girls.
Everything is free.
Oh, wow.
We do ask for a donation of $1 and that goes toward the Toys for Tots or Friends of Forgotten Children.
Oh, wow.
We don't keep anything. We don't. It's not a money maker for us. We don't intend to raise money. We just want to be able to give something back to the community. So that's what happens. So, but yeah.
Well, you've been doing that a long time. That's about as civic as it gets. That's
46 years.
Wow.
I've always, Steve, when I was a kid, my folks, we were poor, and I know I'm not embarrassed to say it, we were. My folks both had jobs. My father had 2 jobs. My mother sometimes had 2 jobs, and we lived with my grandparents. And they always made sure that we went to every parade, because that was like entertainment, so it was free. So we used to go to all the parades they had, or some other events, and that was what we did. It was fun. But today, kids would turn their nose up at it. If you'd say, hey, let's go to a parade. But to us, it was a big deal. And then, of course, to see Santa coming down Main Street on the Concord Christmas parade was a big deal.
Yep.
Because back those days, the Christmas parade wasn't until like the first Sunday in December.
So a little bit closer to the actual holiday, too.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I've always maintained that when you see Santa coming down Macy's Main Street or whatever, that starts the holiday season. Not like Hallmark does on October 29th. That's when they start their 29th.
They start very early.
Yeah, they had 24 days. They had 24 hours of nonstop Christmas shows 7 days a week until January 2nd. So, I love Christmas music. I don't care. We do also down there have a Hanukkah menorah on display. It's a small one. They do have the big one eventually sometime down there, but just so we don't want to, exclude anybody who's Jewish. I don't do the Kwanzaa thing because I'm not really in, with that, but we do have a miniature, small menorah. So, but so it's a good time. It brings the community together. I had one law firm here in Concord who called the event frivolous, and they wouldn't donate. They used to, but then they stopped. So, but anyway, so what's your big claim to fame this time? What are you running on now? What is going to be your theme to your campaign?
Well, I think more than ever we need a mission, and I don't think we have one right now as a state. We, meaning New Hampshire. I'm not sure the country has a mission right now either. But as a state, I think we lack a mission. And so I propose one. I think the mission needs to be something like this. We need to be the best state in America to do at least 2 things. We got to be the best state to start and raise a family.
Yep.
And the best state in America to start and then grow a business.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is because I think there are at least 2 things that we're increasingly struggling with that if we don't improve, if we don't address them, I look out 20 years from now and I get concerned about the ability for the state to be successful and for families to prosper.
Yeah.
And one is we don't have a lot of young people in the state. And we're getting older. We've lost almost a quarter of the school-age kid population in the last 15 years in the state. And when I talk to business people, who we don't think of as maybe caring about that fact so much, they very much are aware that we're aging as a state and not replacing people with young families and the energy and all of the good things that come with it. And they fear that this will not be a good place to invest in the future, to grow a business, to put a for hire sign in their front window, because there won't be anybody to take the jobs. And then the second thing is what I said is to start and grow a business. And we know that a lot of your jobs that get created come from people that start a business, which is really, it's scary, it's hard, it's risky. But that's what drives the economy.
Yeah, I know it.
And so we need to make this as good a state in the country as any for those that want to take a smart risk and start a business. And then eventually we hope they hire as well. So this has to be the best state in America to start and grow a family and to start and grow a business. And I spend a lot of time thinking about the pieces that go into that. And if we do it right, I think we help the inequality that I think exists between towns with a lot of resources and those that don't have so much, as well as the individuals in them. So I spent a lot of time. I audited cities for a living. I was mayor of my city of Portsmouth at a young age, a very data-driven guy. And I was a director of corporate relations for UNH. And all these things kind of help instruct me as to how we achieve that goal.
Why didn't you stay in public office in Dover for at least one more term back those days?
Oh, well...
Do you think that would have helped you a little bit more? I mean, rather than just one term and out you went. I mean, why didn't you stay another term?
Well, the biggest reason there was personal in nature.
I know, you told me that.
Yeah. I mean, my girls are 14 and 12 now, but at the time, they were 4 and 2.
Wow.
And my wife works.
Yeah.
And you put it together, and I was 33 at the end of I was in elected office 4 years. And at the end of that fourth year, I was 33. The kids were 4 and 2. My wife traveled a lot. And it was one of these things, I think that local office and a lot of other elected office in New Hampshire, I never wanted it to be something I did for a career.
Yeah.
It's something you do for a period of time.
Oh, yeah.
Do it with vigor.
Yeah.
With passion, and then get out. And there are other things in civic life that you can do. So, I've worked for my Chamber of Commerce. I've done fundraising for different arts groups and civic groups in Portsmouth, where I was able to take some of the skills and experiences and go help do other things in civic life that matter a lot.
Yeah.
And then it allowed me to do something like take a job at UNH, because being a mayor, to do it right, was pretty much a full-time job, but it didn't pay like a full-time job.
No.
So you needed the diversity of life experience that also allowed me to spend time at home and be a good dad and a good husband.
So how old are you now then?
43.
Oh, you don't like it. Boy, you're a very young-looking 43 though.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, I think.
Yeah, well,
I'll take that. Yeah, I like that, I think.
Because, I mean, I would not have thought that. I thought you were still in your 30s.
Well, I wish. There are elements, I still try to, for example, I run a lot, and you can tell the difference from 5 or 10 years ago. It's to recover from a lot of running a long run.
Yeah.
It takes a little longer at 43 than it did at 33. But still, try to stay young, try to stay healthy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that'll do it. Well, I mean, it's so, like I said, still, it's kind of hard in a way because he just got elected into kind of like, I mean, he's been in office now for almost, about 9 months, come to think of it. I was thinking less than that, it is 9 months. But whether you can tie that into the Trump mess, I don't know. I think you're better off to kind of stay away from that and just focus on New Hampshire. But, I've always said I hope to heck that we don't get too much into Trump's mess. And I told him that when he was on the show. I said, don't become junior. Because I said people will get turned off fast.
Well,
and that's how I feel.
Well, I think there's two parts to it. I mean, one is I try to focus much more on the positive alternative vision of where I think the state needs to go. While I try not to ding Chris, certainly not on a personal level, but you have to make the contrast.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that there's a seriousness to the times we're in and the opportunities we have as a state.
Yeah.
You want folks that have thought for a long time about it, done the work in different places, and have specific plans about, as I say, how do you make this the best state in America to start and raise a family and start and grow a business. And that means you need a mission. And I do fear that our current governor doesn't really have a mission, and so you end up with policies that kind of bounce around all over the place and often are about things that aren't the biggest things. And I want us to focus on those big things. But the Trump factor, it is hanging over everything. I try not to spend a lot of time talking about him, but a lot of people want to talk about him because 2/3 of New Hampshireites don't like the job he's doing, and they want to communicate the maximum change from it. And they, in 2018, we're the only statewide election on the ballot. So I do tell folks, I think I represent a younger, a positive, a data-driven, analytical, aspirational alternative. If you want to express that that's what you want to see, I think I provide a really good place for them to do that.
Yeah. I mean, myself, I just am thoroughly because I was not happy when he got elected. That was a shocker. But some of the stuff, I mean, that family of his is in everything. You know, I mean, and every time you turn around, there's a new controversy about something.
There's a lot of conflict of interest. There's so much of it that it's hard to focus on any one part because the next day there'll be another fire that you're trying to put out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I do wish our current governor, frankly, more like a couple other Republican governors at our border, Charlie Baker in Massachusetts, Phil Scott in Vermont, both Republicans. They have been much more forceful about pushing back on some of the worst parts of President Trump's agenda.
Yeah.
Which is powerful when you're in the same party. That makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I wish that our governor was as blunt and direct and forceful in pushing back as other Republican governors in the region have been, and I don't think he has been.
No, I know it. Because it's just plain terrible, I think. Anyway, that's how I feel about it. I mean, I know my opinion don't go too far, but he just isn't he's not. What I see myself is that we've got the middle class is gone. He's kind of like shoving it out the door. We've got the high class, low class. What happened to the middle class? He don't care about the middle class. And I mean, I don't know. I just think it really people. I hope they really need to be looking next time because it's just not good.
Well, one thing I'll say for all my Democratic friends, whoever the nominee for president is in 2020, I believe people are looking for a positive, hopeful message that will be a combination of, let me tell you what I think is wrong about the current administration, and let me tell you what I think the best looking future we can have looks like and why I'm the man or woman in 2020 who can deliver it. It will not be enough in all likelihood to simply say what we're against. I really want us to have a coherent argument about what we're for. Sure. And I think at the state level in 2018, it's really important too, which is why I spend a lot of time thinking that way. People want to be excited about something.
Yeah.
And I think in 2016, some of that energy level might have been missing on Election Day. And there were a majority of Americans that were voting more about what they were against than what they were for. And we got to reverse that in 2020.
And I think they also felt that the choices were really not there for president. And that's the sad part. But who knows?
Well, there's a lot of time and a lot of candidates will be rolling into New Hampshire.
I will say that I do like the looks of the Los Angeles mayor that was in this state recently.
Eric Garcetti.
Yeah. He's a Democrat.
Yeah.
I like the looks of him. I've been reading up on him a little bit, and he looks good. He looks good as a possibility. I mean, I think Bernie is a little bit too. He'll be close to 80, won't he?
Late 70s, I believe.
Yeah, and of course, what's his name? Joe Biden, who I think really wished he had run. But I don't know whether he was talked out of it or what. But he's definitely going to be hitting near 80. I think he's too old for that. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, who would have said 3 years ago that Donald Trump was going to win the Republican nomination and then get elected president? That's stunning. And I think even supporters of Donald Trump would not have projected that 3 years ago. No. So much will happen in the next 3 years. Things that we can't foresee, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. There's a lot of jobs out there. I won't say everybody, but there's a lot of signs. We're hiring. But they can't fill them. And now the holiday season's coming, and of course, some of the kids coming back from college during that break will fill some of them, but you know, I don't know. Everybody's looking for workers.
You've just hit it. I mean, what frustrates me, it's not really a strategy, but the current governor focuses on how can I attract more existing, mature, larger businesses to come to New Hampshire. And what I think he's not understanding, because I used to talk to them all when I worked at UNH for corporate relations, they all ask before they would choose, who am I going to hire? And right now the answer is existing employers in New Hampshire with a sub 3% unemployment rate and the second oldest median age in America. Right now they can't find people for the businesses we have. And so for me, the fundamental challenge, I joke with people, I say, look, I love the White Mountains, I love Lake Winnipesaukee, I love the Atlantic Ocean, but you know what the best view is? When I see a U-Haul truck with a young family driving north into New Hampshire. That's what we need. I need more families seeing this as an amazing place to move into, because we simply do not have enough people in their 40s and younger who live here today to sustain long-term economic growth and prosperity. And that's what's going to help all of us up and down. That's what's going to help grow the middle class. And I think until we say that bluntly and think about it as a mission, we're going to have a hard time making the difference we're going to make.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. It's just, it just scares me. Because, like I said, he scares me. And I'm surprised that, of course, they were saying how the Secret Service has run out of money protecting all that members of his family. Well, why wouldn't they? All that family of his, you know. So where's it going to end? You know, Trump Tower. I mean, all that stuff. I don't know. I'm just thoroughly disgusted with it.
Well, I think we need more Republican leaders who criticized Trump while he was running. To have the courage and who know what he's doing does not improve the American people's lives.
I know.
We need more Republicans to not simply talk about it in private conversation, but to talk about it publicly and then to vote in the way that they need to talk. And that may happen. It hasn't happened a lot yet, but until it does, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot different than what we've seen for 8 months.
Well, on another note, I think the idea of a casino in New Hampshire's gone by the board. That's gone now because every state's got them except Vermont and Vermont. So, but New Hampshire, we keep adding more games, and now we got Keno and more scratch ticket games. You know, so I guess we're all set there. For some reason, can't get the train up here, passenger service up here in Concord because you got some there in the legislature who don't want it. And I said, 93 is so loaded with cars every day. What the heck, especially on the weekend? What is the matter? Why can't they work together? But no, the buses don't work, trains. You know, they're free. They don't want them in there. You know, Steve, I'm telling you, I think the trains are needed.
There are a lot of benefits to the economy. And after the primary, when I finished second last year, it gave me some time to talk with experts in different issues. And one of them, take Manchester. One of the benefits for Manchester, the airport, which is probably the single biggest infrastructure asset we have in New Hampshire, has declined in its value by several $100 million in the last 10 years or so. Why? Well, a lot of airports are putting fewer and fewer gates, like Southwest has fewer gates there. And the reason for that is they're increasingly going to the one in Providence, TF Green Airport. And the reason for that, they tell me, is because the rail that they have that can take people to the train, to the airport rather, has increased the potential customer base and so they're moving gates from Manchester to Providence, and it's lowered the value of Manchester Airport by several $100 million.
I thought because they were going to Boston, because Southwest opened up. They're in Boston now, where they weren't before.
Well, they've done that as well. But for a lot of folks who are looking for medium-sized secondary markets for a variety of reasons, at one point we were really dominating the competition against Providence, which, if you think about it, in the Boston area is the logical, roughly the same distance. They have pretty good rail to get you there from the Boston area, and we do not. And that has had a really negative impact in terms of the long-term viability of this very valuable asset. So that's an element. I think the second positive is it can take a lot of the very kinds of people I'm talking about, those kind of younger families, entrepreneurs, folks who are bringing their kids into the state, that increase property values in those communities and help with the tax base.
Oh, yeah.
They, even if they work in Boston for a period of years, they will for a while, I get it, and they'll commute down and up. Eventually, most of those folks will change jobs and will want to work closer to home. And if home is New Hampshire, it means that they become part of the employment base. When we're talking about needing more workers, it's one of the ways that we bring them up. And I think there's a little bit of patience required to enjoy that benefit, but I think it's real.
Yeah.
And I think if we do that right, it helps address that mission. How do we attract young families and young people, and how do we attract entrepreneurs?
I know. JetBlue, I wish they'd come into Manchester Airport. They're a good airline, but you can't get them in here.
And the business communities, they look at that. And so we need to reverse that trend line.
I'm going to tell you something, though. Pease Air Base, airport, disgusting. And I mean disgusting. We took Allegiant Airline to Orlando just before July 1st, and I couldn't believe how dirty, how disgusting it is. And I've got to report that to somebody because I was thoroughly. There wasn't enough seats up there for people to sit in.
Oh, in the terminal?
Yeah, it was just awful. Then the plane itself, I will say, the plane ride was good.
Okay.
However, you had to pay for everything, and that's like Spirit Airlines out of
food or
drink, anything. You had to pay for everything. There was no freebie stuff.
Okay.
And
I know for some that's the model they're trying. It's interesting because Portsmouth Pease, it's a state asset, has tried in different ways to attract airlines in.
I know.
I think there's an opportunity. It's a niche thing. Usually it involves northeast to Florida.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what you did. When I talk to folks at Pease affiliated, I'll let them, I will communicate that.
Yeah, because it was disgusting. And I said, never again. And then coming back, they don't go every day down there, which we didn't know. But coming back, I had a very bad spell down there at the airport. So they wouldn't let me go on. So we had to go and get get 2 more tickets out of Southwest. $1,000 it cost us to come home the next day, plus another hotel room which we had checked out of. So I said, that's it. I said, never again do we ever use Allegiant Airlines. So, they need to upgrade. If they want stuff out of Pease, they need to straighten out that airport over there.
Well, that's good feedback. I mean, they need to get customers, and so they got to get that. I'll let them know as I see them. I see them often. So.
They had a lot of families there that day. It was loaded with
I'm
families.
sure. I mean, that route in theory should be very popular with young families.
Well, we're coming to a close around town, and it's been a pleasure having you here. And you're welcome to come back anytime, Steve. And
thanks, I appreciate it.
As you get going, and I'll get you. Leave me your address. And I'll get you the information for the parade and everything else. So.
Well, that's great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. So, with that in mind, thank you to Ian, my director, and everybody have a good time. I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, so I'll be back in 2 weeks as I travel to Ann Arbor, and we'll see you soon. And have a great 2 weeks away, and enjoy the fall weather. And I'm your host, Dick Patten, for Around Town.